Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 384. It is Friday here in Cincinnati. It's springtime. We have temperatures that have gone from the 30s all the way to 77 the other day. Today, I think we're probably in the 60s. It's kind of gray outside right now. There's some green popping up all over the place, but we're not all the way into spring yet. We are on the other side of the balance between light and dark, day and night. So we are moving into more light, more sunshine, longer days here in the Midwest. And the title for today that came through a little while ago is Unstoppable. And so I spent some time in my meditation before this thinking about all the ways that unstoppable could be interpreted. Not all the ways, a few of the ways. And yeah, we're just gonna start chatting and see where this goes. So my week, what I have been experiencing here is a fire hose of energy, which is called my husband, who's off school on spring break and has just had some amazing plans of projects and things to do here around our house. And so there's been this burst of attention and energy into, this home work environment that I am so blessed to enjoy. I work from my home. I have clients come here. I host events and calls. And so most of my work is done from this vortex of my home, our home. And so when my husband is here for many days in a row and not having to work, there's just a whoosh, like a tidal wave of energy that comes flooding into the vortex. There's a massive up-leveling that happens each time. And so I have been adjusting and playing, in lots of different ways with his flow of energy, his rhythm, his way of being. And like in all relationships, we're all constantly adjusting to the others around us and finding, how that impacts us. And so what I was feeling when I thought of this title or felt this title of Unstoppable, it was this image of how, time keeps moving on, the seasons keep changing, the cycles keep happening, and we are individually as humans constantly just finding our place within that collective movement of time and energy. How would I describe that better? The phrase probably is like time keeps marching on, things keep happening, the flow keeps continuing of life, and we are a part of that, we are included in that. And so as it keeps moving, we can stop, cover our head, pull the blankets over our head and just say, not playing, not participating, not moving on with time. I'm just going to stay right here. And what's going to happen is time will keep going. The flow will keep continuing. And then at some point when we pull the cover off of our heads, we'll look around and realize, oh, wait, there's a new world around us. There's a new thing that's happened that I haven't noticed. A great example of that would be I went for a run for the first time in many months earlier this week. And it was a run walk. It was not a full-on run because my body has not been keeping up with the run practice. I've been doing a lot more walking than I have running. So I started going through my regular route that I do, here in the neighborhood across from us. And I was aware of how much had changed, how many people had been doing home repair projects and for sale signs, trees that had been cut down. Like, there was all this stuff that had happened while I had been over in my neck of the woods living my life. Time went on, things happened. And when I decided to pop back into that energy field, into that physical environment, I was aware of what I had missed. Maybe that's not even the right words, because I didn't miss it until I was there seeing that it had changed. I was aware of the changes that had happened while I had not been paying attention to that, because my attention had been on other things. Yeah, it's the same here at our home. One of the projects that my husband did was painting the exterior of the house. And the color that he painted for the trim was exactly the same color that had been on it years ago. But the sun had faded it so much. It had gone from a green to almost a pink, like a soft mauve color. Mauve. Isn't that a weird word? Mauve. I think it's mauve. But it had shifted the pigmentation, and it was a whole different color. And when he put that new old green back on, everything suddenly popped into a new image. The house looked totally different because the colors had changed. And we don't always realize that things have faded or shifted or become something else because we see them every day, or we're busy looking at other things. Our attention is on other stuff. And then when we bring our full attention and presence back to that thing we're looking at, sometimes it's shocking. It's shocking in good ways and bad ways. We just suddenly realize, whoa, what happened? How did it become this from what it used to be? And so there's this constant movement of life force, energy, this collective co-creation is constantly happening. And we individually get to choose how we experience that collective movement. We can dip in and out, we can ride the current, we can be at the front of it creating the pathway. We can have all of those experiences in one lifetime. We really get to, play in whatever ways feel good to us. But I was very aware today of how that force of movement is unstoppable. That no matter how we're choosing to dip in or out, no matter what our pattern is or our rhythm is, that co-creative collective movement of humanity and Gaia and Source, it's constantly moving. It's an unstoppable energy. And sometimes that can feel lots of things, and that's what was coming up in our meditation time. It can feel comforting to know that life will always continue, and it doesn't really matter if we choose to experience it one way today and another way the next day. It's always going to keep moving. And so we get to play with how we go in and out of that collective movement. We get to experiment. We get to try different ways and see what feels good to us. A perfect example is when someone has a pregnancy and then a baby. You go into this vortex of I'll speak from my own experience. I went into this vortex of me and my body and building a life inside of my body, and the rest of the world could do what it wanted. I was making a baby. And I had just this magical time of feeling creative life force inside of me, and then the miracle of a new life emerging and being able to hold and feed and change the diapers of that new life. It's absolutely miraculous. And so it doesn't really matter what's happening in the rest of the world. it's like that continues, and it's totally cool. But here I am in this magical experience, and my life is so rich and perfect. I don't need to know what's happening in the rest of the world. And then at some point, as you're raising your children, as I was raising my children, there's this desire to go back into the life, the world, reality, and show what has happened in your own personal experience and share that other world with your little one. And so I was very busy. I wanted to go places and do things and share the world with my children. And then there are times where we perhaps pull back in, and we are internal and shifting through something. And so we don't have the capacity to manage, what is happening in the outside world. I think of when I went through my divorce, I couldn't process anything else that was happening except for what I was moving through and what that meant in the reality of my life, and adjusting to working full time and how to manage being a single parent. Like, there was so much happening that I didn't have any room to worry or think about what was happening in the rest of the world. And then, life continued, and this is so funny to look back on my life from this sort of perspective. Let's just bring it up to now that I'm 50 and my children are very independently busy in their own lives, their own worlds. And here I am in this amazing vortex where I create and I collaborate, and I'm aware of what's happening in the world. I hear enough to be able to keep a pulse on what's shifting. But I don't feel this need to save the world or fix the world. It's a shift that I've had in my own awareness of enjoying co-creation, enjoying that there's this unstoppable force of life that is constantly carrying all of us into whatever is our next experience. And so I don't feel the need to manage. What a great word. My degree was in business management, which cracks me up now. Like, I don't feel the need to manage anyone or manage any outcomes. I truly have this trust in the perfection of co-creation, knowing that every single one of us alive on this planet are contributing to the collective movement of energy. So if some choose to pull the covers over their heads for a while, years, their whole life, that's okay. There's enough other ones that are out there charging forward, racing towards the newest, latest discoveries. I think of Elon Musk. There's always going to be someone who's going to shoot a rocket up into the sky and know that they can go wherever they want to go in the universe, that counterbalances those who may be pulling the cover over their head. And the continuum is the range is so wide that there's plenty of room for all of us to find our place within that unstoppable movement of energy. And so it's okay to have days where we are lazy and slow and completely internal, and it's okay to have days where we're busy and external and involved in everything that's going on around us. The rhythms, we find our rhythms, and I believe we learn to trust them. We learn to discern what feels like the right energy for today and move with that. Just to bring it to a micro level of this week, my husband, he burst into activity Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, we were hardcore painting, cleaning, tidying, moving. Like, go, 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 go. God bless my mom, who came and just sat in the space and helped ground the energy a little bit for us and talked to me and brought some steadiness into all of that energy. But we had several days of lots and lots of movement, stuff, things, busyness. And by Tuesday morning, I could tell, like, I need some balance. I need to come back into my own internal space and breathe and recenter. Allow the unstoppable flow that is my husband to keep moving around the house while I paused and worked and did, the things that were on my list that were essential to me for my peace of mind. Not quite pulling the cover over my heads, but definitely calming and soothing of the energy. It's like fire hosing for a while and then taking it all the way down to a trickle out of the hose. Bringing some balance back. And then being ready to move back into a lot of activity again the next day. And I feel myself sort of coming back into this quieter space as I tune into the podcast with you today. We find our, I keep using this word flow, like we find our individual flow within this collective unstoppable flow that is humanity playing here in the energy field of Gaia. And maybe the point of this whole podcast today is encouragement to say, trust your own rhythm. Trust the ways that you find yourself engaging in this unstoppable flow. There may be periods in your life where you are very busy, to use human words, productive, valuable. Is that how we want to define a human, right? You're valuable if you're producing something. How ridiculous is that? It's so ridiculous. You're valuable because you exist. You're valuable because you're here and you're breathing and your soul is in a human body co-creating within the energy field of Gaia. That makes you essential. Makes you absolutely precious to the whole of humanity. And so it's okay if there are phases, periods we move through where we just exist. And then there may be periods right after that where you're the rocket ship that's creating something absolutely amazing because you had this quiet time where you were trusting your own rhythm, trusting your own flow. You may be on the, what do I call it, afterglow in one of my books. You're on the afterglow perhaps. The rocket has launched, it has landed, maybe it's crashed and burned, and now you're the afterglow of that experience, and you're just crawling your way through the days because you're recovering from whatever this massive period of life has been that you're completing. It's okay to just lay down on the ground and roll over and look up at the sky and rest. Or it's okay to jump up and start running a marathon. There's such a variety of paths and experiences available to all of us here in this energy field of Gaia. It's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. You can arrive as a soul in a human body and put yourself on course for, how many options of lives do we have? Billions of options of experiences, places to live, careers to pursue, art to create, environments, weather patterns to experience, languages to learn. There's just this infinite realm of ways that you can be a human alive on Gaia. And so who are we to judge another person's choice? All choices are coming from the soul's wanting to exist in a human form. So I don't know that my way is better than anyone else's way. It's just what I'm choosing. And at some point it may shift and I want to choose something different. And so then my reality shifts around me because I've put myself into a different pathway or experience choice. And so everything adjusts to match what I'm choosing to experience. So how many times have we all experienced this? Someone who was, a devout Christian, for example. And then I think of, what was her name? Doreen Virtue. I hope I'm saying the right name. There was a woman who was absolutely, I want to say it was her, absolutely about spirituality and the angels communicating messages and all of this magic. Maybe I shouldn't say that name. I don't know if that's the right name. But it was one of these beautiful producers of spiritual goods. She made all kinds of card decks and videos and all kinds of stuff. And then she went through a metamorphosis and a change, and she decided that what she had believed previously was no longer true. And so now she was a devout Christian and believed that the only way to have forgiveness was through Jesus. And so all of her previous messaging, she was denouncing her own creations. She chose a different reality. And who are we to say either one of those were right or good or bad or wrong? It's just what she decided to experience. She tapped into this unstoppable flow of life force and went into a different pathway. We can all constantly be shifting and changing into something new. And if we could loosen our grip, our hold on the judgment that we all seem to carry of anyone's experience, and allow ourselves our own unique experience. Where it gets messy is the co-creation. When we are, let me rephrase that. The opportunity for growth, the potential to exponentially expand our own learning, is when co-creation becomes uncomfortable, when someone else's choice is impacting our choice, when someone else's judgment is impacting our choice, our way of being. And so when that starts to happen, for myself, what I do is turn the mirror and look at myself. Like, why is this showing up right now? What is it mirroring to me in myself that needs to be looked at? Is this about my boundaries? Is this about a judgment I have that is being reflected to me in this way that I need to clear in myself? Sometimes it's simply a choice. There's someone saying something to me that they believe in that I don't believe in, and so I move my attention away from that thing. I have so many examples in my mind. I'm like, I don't even want to start the arguments, so I'm not even going to bring those up. There are so many ways that people are focusing their attention right now, and I believe we get to choose for ourselves what we want to experience. And so I put my attention on what I want to create, what I want my reality to be. So I focus on health and wellness within myself. I focus on bringing light and healing water into my body and allowing my body to be aligned with this flow of life force in the highest possible ways. And whatever doesn't match that choice I'm making of optimal health and wellness, I could focus on it and try to change it and try to change everyone else's reality, and that's not where I need to be. It's about allowing myself to thrive and contribute the best I possibly can to co-creation. So for me, that's joy, it's peacefulness, it's acceptance, it's trust in the perfection of life, in the ease with which I can move in and out of this unstoppable flow of energy. And so as I experience ease and feel ease and and flow with ease, I create more of that around me. I received this beautiful video from a friend, and it was a recording of Abraham Hicks, but it was just so sweet the way she was just describing, how to trust your own inner state of being, and just the vibration that she was sharing was so, what is the word? All-encompassing. There was no judgment about anybody doing anything. It was just this peacefulness, and it was so steady inside of her in the audio. Like, you just melted into that same steadiness, or at least I did. And she said, this is why I brought it up. I'm like, there was something else I was going to share from that. Besides how relaxed I felt. She said, the one person who is in complete, absolute alignment with their own connection to source energy, that one individual has the power to match millions who are not in alignment. There's such strength in the one who is absolutely connected to their source energy, that millions of others who are not connected maybe would balance the power of that one who is connected. And so I trust my greatest contribution to make to this unstoppable life force energy is to be in alignment with myself. Kind of like last week's doing it my way, to be in such peacefulness and ease with the way that I live my life, with the way that I trust my own flow of energy, to dip into collective where it feels true and right to me, and to pull back and regroup and recenter and realign when it feels right and true to me, and to trust that everything that arrives in my external environment, everything that gets reflected to me is guiding this path for me, is guiding my next steps, is showing me options and alternatives. And then I get to choose. Do I want to dip into this frequency? Do I want to dip into this conversation? Do I want to create this collaboration? Like, what? Or do I just want to be by myself? Like, what is it that feels most peaceful and expansive to me? And then I bring that into that unstoppable force. So I have this image, or this desire, this belief that more and more of us who are playing with co-creation in that way guide co-creation. How would I describe it? I'm not saying it very well. It's like, instead of following what the group mentality is saying and then doing what everyone else is doing, and then we're all moving in this collective direction because we're all agreeing this is what we should be doing. If I'm trusting my flow and I'm following that, it's like I'm shaping the outside of the collective flow, perhaps, or maybe I'm right in the center and I'm guiding the center of the collective flow, because Source will place each one of us where it most serves the collective movement. Our souls, when we're in alignment with Source, we're in alignment with our souls. And so our souls will put us exactly where it most serves to continually elevate this dynamic of Source, humanity, and Earth. This beautiful play that, we as souls in human bodies are experiencing with our planet. Our souls will put us where it's most that's not the right word, where it's most aligned for us individually. And so the more of us that are tapping into our own soul, our own connection to Source, and trusting how we're guided, all these beautiful points of light are being placed around the planet, directly, easily flowing communication back and forth with soul, with Source, and then walking the planet from that beautiful place of connection. No fogginess, no confusion, no doubt, no judgment, no cloudedness, just knowing. And then more and more and more of us that are experiencing that and trusting that, I feel like there's these 1,000 points of light, and then there's going to be 1,000,000 points of light, and then there's going to be 1,000,000,000 points of light, and maybe there's already 5,000,000,000 points of light. I don't know. Maybe all 7.5 billion of us are exactly where we agreed to be, clearly connected to Source, absolutely in love with life and this human experience, and we're just playing it out in different ways. Who am I to know? Who are any of us to know? And so the greatest alignment is for me to trust where I am finding myself wanting to be placed, and then allowing this unstoppable life force to carry and guide me to the next moment. And then I choose what I want to experience in the next moment. It just looks so easy to me. And what I often see reflected back in the media and social media and conversations is just how so many people experience it as very hard or very difficult or overwhelming. And for me, anytime I get a sense of that starting to happen, where I feel like I'm being pulled into something that doesn't feel in alignment to me, that's when I stop and I pause and I come back in and breathe and center and listen. And I also realize I'm so blessed to be able to do that at this phase in my life. When my children were little, maybe I was and I just didn't realize it, but I don't feel like I was as connected to my soul, to Source. I feel like I spent much of my time in reaction, not creation. And that also may be, we have this burst of creation when we bring life, human life into the planet. And so maybe there's an ebb and flow with that. It's like we have this burst of creative energy, and then we rest, we exist, and then we create again, and there's these ebbs and flows. Yeah, it's such a miraculous thing to be alive, to be in a human body and feel all of the possibilities that exist in this human realm. It's absolutely amazing. And much of the time we're so busy, or we have so much on our plate that, it's like what I was describing with the paint at the beginning of the podcast, or the beginning of this episode. I didn't realize that the paint had faded over all these years until we bring that new green paint and paint over that mauve color. And then suddenly there's this whole new look. That's so true for all of us. We don't realize how much has shifted or changed until we bring this new perspective, this new way of looking at it. And then, whoa, everything's new again. I keep seeing the image of one of the last Marvel movies, Infinity Wars, one of those last ones, where the Ant-Man had been inside of a car doing some experiment, and something happened, and he came back into his full size and awareness and came out of the parking garage, and he stepped out into this world that had been destroyed. 5 years had gone by, I think it was, and he stepped out into this earthly world that was completely different, and the people he knew were gone, the resources, everything was just demolished. And he's running around trying to figure out what happened, and you can just see all these waves of emotion that he's moving through because time has gone by. This unstoppable energy has moved past where he was, and he's trying to catch up to where it is. And then there's another whole stuff that happens, and Marvel movies cannot be easily summarized. But that one scene specifically, I just keep picturing him arriving at his daughter's place, and she's all grown up. Time has gone by, and she's so different. I think it was only 5 years. Maybe it was longer. But that's part of this way in which we play on earth, time is an element of creation, of co-creation. And it feels important to add this nugget. I had this come up during my meditation, and it feels important to add it in here. Often what I have felt and what I hear from others around me is there's only this one moment, this one possibility that would have put me onto this path where I would have had this experience or met this person. There's that one moment and I missed it, or I didn't get to have it, or that unstoppable life force has moved past and I had the cover over my head, and so I didn't get it, and that opportunity has passed me by, and now what? Now I'm stuck and I'm never going to have that experience again because of that missed opportunity. And I have felt that in my own journey. There have been pivotal moments where I made a choice wondering, is this the right choice? This is going to impact all that's coming after me next, that's coming after this moment next. Is this actually what I want to choose? And making the choice and then doubting myself and kicking myself and regretting the choice and, gnashing of teeth. Like it can feel so true in our minds that we messed up and that opportunity is gone. And I absolutely want to say with the deepest, most expansive joy in my heart, it's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. If there is a choice that we made that we think limited the possibility or the potential for the rest of our life because of that one choice, my wisdom, my encouragement is to widen the lens, to look at your life from a different perspective. Yes, you made a choice and it puts you on this one path, and this path looks like this. But this unstoppable life force is constantly moving around us. And so we can step back into it at a different point in the timeline, and co-creation is going to happen, and someone else or some other thing or some other experience will arrive that will meet us in that new vibration that we're experiencing. And if we are constantly focused on elevating our consciousness and expanding the possibilities in our life, that next point on the timeline, way past the one that we've perhaps missed, in quotes, that next point on the timeline is going to be 10 times more expansive, 10 times more miraculous and amazing than the one back there that we think ruined our life. It's like someone who believes this is the one love of your life and you'll never, ever fall in love in the way that you just did here. And the relationship ends. And then there's this absolute grief of it's never going to be like that. I believe our heart expands capacity when we fall in love. And so we now have a bigger heart, which means we have a bigger vibration, which means if we are open to it, we can call towards us another soul in a human body who wants to come and play with this bigger heart that we've expanded because of that love that we had. And so there will be another amazing love. If we allow ourselves to believe that, if we allow ourselves to be carried by this unstoppable flow of life, and we dip back in and open our heart and allow another magical soul to show up and play with us, absolutely there will be someone who you will just be amazed at how much you love them. And you thought you loved before, and then you love this one. It's like my children. I thought I loved my daughter, like impossibly. Never could I love another soul more than I love my daughter. And then my son came, and I'm like, I love him just as much as I love her. How is that possible? It's just a constant expansion. And so if we can experience that in human relationships, in love, of course we can experience that in our career, in our finances, in our health. And we are constantly changing and adjusting. The unstoppable flow of the collective humanity is constantly opening up new possibilities. New technology is a great example. Technology has advanced so much in the last 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 6 months. Just imagine where technology will be in 5 years from now and how it will meet needs we don't even know we have yet, because creation is constantly birthing something new. So you don't miss an opportunity that then dooms you for the rest of your life. You make a choice and it puts you on a path, and then you make another choice that might put you on another path. And you're just walking your way through this human realm and choosing whatever it is you want to experience. So dream big. Dream big. Allow your experience with this unstoppable flow of life force to be whatever you choose. And then love your choice. Don't beat yourself up for it. Love your choice. Relax. Be at ease with it. And know that at any moment you can choose something different. It just takes all the pressure off. There's so much pressure around us and so many opinions and so much judgment. And so perhaps today we just drop some of that or all of it for ourselves first, and then for the people around us. Maybe we try enjoy this human journey a little more, which means, sometimes I paint trim on the house and paint the kitchen cabinets, and sometimes I sit and meditate. And it's all so perfect. All right, I'm going to shift gears and get ready for our energy gym. We start in just a little bit. It's good. There is so much goodness available. I am filled with gratitude for this fire hose amazingness that is my husband. I send you into your weekend with such love. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me on Sunday mornings for an hour of meditation, visualization, and energy healing, where we realign our mind, body, spirit with Gaia and Source. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.